Okay, it's recording, it's transcribing. Perfect. Okay, so it's already it's 1 p.m. on my end. So let's begin this real quick. I see people showing up. So, like always, welcome to the Tape Partners Roundtable webinar. I'm Luis, one of the Tape partners, and today Jason cannot be here today because he's on vacation traveling with his family. So I'm gonna be doing this. And in this webinar, what I will do is I will show you how to create a intermediate JSON records to cache basically the tape API data. But like always, before we begin, we're gonna go over the agenda. And like it's very simple, the introduction, and then we're gonna go to the tape April updates from the tape team. Very excited about that. A lot of stuff happening there. So, and then I'm gonna do the demonstration on how to create the intermediate JSON records and how to cache the API data. So the tape team, we're very excited. What do you got for us?
I can show you something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me stop. Try to share. So,
do you have?
So, I hope you can see my screen.
Yep, we do.
So it's shared. Very good.
Yep.
So, first of all, I want to show you from the beginning. We developed further and further to improve what we already had, and but we also developed a lot of new stuff in the last 4 weeks. So we are now what I showed you already last time is the creation process of form. I want to start here. So I will start a new form. More space. And at the beginning, you can pick the app, as I already showed you last time. Here I had a special demo app for today. And now I can decide what to do and want to create the form based on the existing fields. And now we have already the fields ready. So I started very simple with just text fields now for the demo. But as you see, the fields are already generated. And we worked a lot on the field settings and the menus. I want to guide you through a little bit. So the new way to create apps in Tape will be just to unlock an app. So basically, this is the stuff a non-admin user sees, so it can work. It can send data, and if you are a user with the full access permission, an admin, you can unlock, in this case, the form, but also in the future, a record layout. And then you can you get the indicators here, and then you can click on a field, and then you get the menu to decide what you want to do. And for example, you can make it required, as you already know the feature, then hide when empty, and this is new, just view only, so read only for fields. And what is makes it more comfortable in the future to work and to create forms and records with Tape is, for example, multi-select. So I can select many fields at once and can say I want to make them required, for example. And then you get a small indicator here besides of the field, and shows you which display option you have chosen. And not only display options, because maybe you have some special settings in the field layer, and this is all merged in this place here. So, for example, when I now go to field 1, and this is something the whole community was asking for. When you here go to the field settings, you make a navigation to the original field, which is used in the view or in the record. Then you're at the field settings, and what we've built the last weeks also is the field access. So you can now very granularly decide who should be able to view a field and can edit a field. So as many of you wished for, to have fields for automations, which only can be changed by an automation or by an admin. So you can say this field you can select who can edit this, or you can exclude who can edit this. So I can say selected and just say workspace admins or special people. And then this field is only editable by admins. And I can also say that some people should not see this field, like, for example, this user, or let's say this one. Let's say Tim. Tim is not allowed. So, and when you now leave the settings, you get here a small indicator icon, the log icon, and you can see in one place that here are some restrictions on the field. And it's very simple to relieve the restrictions. You go back to access and just say restore access. And now everyone is back to have access to the field. And this is quite useful, because you can also hide fields from views if you don't want that. It's also a feature request in the community where many people commented on that when you create new fields, that they not automatically go to all views. And what we also worked a lot with, but I think the time is too less to show everything, but I show you some stuff. So we have loads of style options in the new tape creation engine. So when you go here to style, you can have different presets, like I want to change to field style. And with this button, I can roll it out to all fields. So I can design one field and roll it out to different ones, but I can also use multi-select, for example. I can say, well, let's take some more fields. I want to have the label on the left side, maybe. So I can go to style settings and say label left, and I also want the placeholder to be empty description. So I can change it for all fields in one attempt. And maybe I want to do some special stuff and want to have the classic tape style, like borderless style. Then I get this style, and I can then lock it, and the user will be able to create the records with the style you choose. And we have made much more stuff. So I can just show you some of the style settings. Like you can decide if you want to able to wrap the text. And this is also nice to see. If you want to have a classic title, a huge title in your record, you can decide to make it very large. You can remove the label, and then you can decide that the text should be wrapped. So when you now enter something, it will be a wrapped title. And maybe what is also better for a title, when you can choose the minimal style, so you don't even get a hover or something like that. And if you want to say, I want my label not to be wrapped, you can just change it back. So we have many options here. Many label options. When you have a label, it's very dynamic. You see all the options you can use, and you have also extended options here for special cases, like you want a uppercase label, or you can also change your label style. And so we have a lot of possibilities. And of course, on top of everything, you can have multi-columns. You can choose the space to your field. So you have so much possibilities in the future to create stuff with tape. So we are now at the moment working on that engine, and it's paying out very well at the moment. So I'm trying to stop sharing my content.
Wow, that looks fantastic. That is awesome.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Can't wait to break it. I mean, to use it. Yeah. Okay, so that is really, really cool. So what I'm gonna do now, so we're gonna continue with the thing. Let me share my screen. Oh, what happened? One moment. Let's see. It's this one. There we go. So, okay, so that was amazing. That was amazing. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do a quick demonstration of the topic of today, which is demonstrating creating an intermediate JSON record to cache the tape API. So basically, the reason I did this today because I was one time when I was creating. I stumbled upon this when I was using the tape API for a proposal app that I created, and the proposal app it had a total of about like 56 fields, so that's a lot of fields. And the problem was that if one of the fields was empty, the API will skip it, and then the next field will take its place. So let me demonstrate what I mean. So if I go to over here, so this is just a record that I created, and this is just a simple app with just one record. And this one record just includes some sample fields like name, multi-line text fields, and I can see those text fields. I took those text fields with the API and I can see them in a landing page like this one. So I can see, let me go back, and it's gonna be this one. So I can see it in the landing page. I retrieve all the records. As you can see, all the fields appear in the same order as the tape record. So it's gonna be John Doe, the text, the single line, and the multi-line, just as it has here in the tape record. So, and here's the problem. So if I go to tape and I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna delete this one, the multi-line text field, I'm gonna delete it. And if I go back to the landing page that I'm using the API and I'm gonna refresh this page. So as you can see here, all the fields that were supposed to be there, they roll up. They basically roll up. They reorder the page, as you can see here. So it basically broke up the page that I created as a landing page. And Tim actually explained this in one of the forum posts. If I go here, I think Agnes did this a little while ago, and explaining that she had an issue with the Flutter flow. And I put some information here about what I did back then. Jason put a solution, and Andrew. But Tim explained that's basically like Tape basically skips the empty fields and doesn't put it in the payloads, just to save some, so not to slow down the server, because you're going to be sending a lot of data in the JSON file. So that's why it is, and it makes sense. Makes total sense. So what I'm gonna do now, if I'm gonna go and I'm gonna show you in this demonstration how to overcome this little limitation by using an app that I found that is called JSONbin .io. So let me go back to the landing page, and what I'm gonna do, let me unhide this so we can see both the tape API and the JSONbin. So as you can see here, the JSONbin API retained the correct order even when I deleted the multi-line text field is empty or no. So you can see it remained the order. And so what I'm gonna do now, let me go back to the record and I'm gonna re-add the multi-line text field. Let me just do a few stuff. There we go. And then I'm gonna go back to the landing page and I'm gonna refresh it. Since I added it, it basically now they're both at the same time. They're both exactly the same because tape read all the fields. So they did skip the one that I deleted. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I see a question. In case you have any question, just stop me because I see if you just call rules and here going to show. The option was already visible, but a few. Okay, perfect. Let me continue. So now, as you can see here in the page, I'm gonna start this by creating a custom JSON file from the single record. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a custom JSON file in the tape automation. So let's do that. I go to the automation over here, and I go to the JSON bin. So what I'm doing basically is like it gives me the flexibility to create a JSON payload exactly how I want it. And for this one, it's very straightforward. A JSON is just with 3 sections and a couple of individual values. And I can simply add any of the records that I have here. So let's say that I want to add another value into my JSON. So I just simply decide what I want, and then I'm going to add it here. So let's do one example. Let's say that I want to add the number field, this one. So all I need to do is go to the automation, and I'm going to open this one, and then I'm going to add it below image URL. When I put number, and then I'm going to do number, and it's retrieve number formatted, a comma, and boom. And then I updated my JSON file with the new value. So once I have that, I have the payload exactly as I wanted, and I'm gonna go here to the script that I created for JSONbin API. So this script is very simple. And for this scenario, I'm placing the script in a conditional, because what this will do is we'll create a JSON file on JSONbin for every record in the app. That's basically what it is. So in each record, you're going to have a place order to put the JSONbin ID. And this field contains the ID and is generated once per record. And it's only generated when the record is empty. And it basically creates the JSONbin file, returns the ID here, and then I put the ID back here in the record to use as a reference later. And also when it creates the bin, it sends this custom JSON file back to the JSONbin API. It's pretty neat. So, and in case the JSONbin ID exists in the record, what it's going to do is going to update the JSONbin via a put call, as you can see here. Very straightforward. Very cool. Okay, so let's do that. Let's see that in action so you can see how it goes. So let's go first to show you what this is, the JSONbin. It's a very simple API, and it's an extremely simple. All we got here is a couple of bins and collections. And the bins are basically the way that you host the JSON files, and the collections are basically like folders where you organize the bins inside certain folders. That's what basically is. Okay, if I go back to tape, what we're gonna do, I'm going to update the record. Let me go to this one, and let's change the single select. Let's change this one to option 1. So what's going to happen is, let me go to the runs, the automation, and I'm going to go to the runs. And as you can see here, the automation run. And since the record is already created in the JSONbin, it's going to do the update in this case. So it returns data and it sends it back to JSONbin. So if I go to the JSONbin to see what it updated, go over here and look at this one. As you can see here, option 1 is here and the number. So I have this JSON file. And now if I go back to Web Studio to see the landing page and I refresh this one, what it's going to do is going to put the option 1 here. As you can see, let me refresh it one more time. See, it changes accordingly to what I put in the custom JSON file that I created here. Any questions so far before I continue? Okay, good. So I'm going to continue. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the tape record. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete some of the values in the empty field to show you something. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear this to the single select and the multiple select. Let me close this one. Delete, delete, delete. Perfect. So now I'm going to back to the landing page that I created. And I'm going to refresh this one. This is what's going to happen. As you can see, In this case, the JSON bin retained the correct order and all that are, but this one, the JSON API, the tape API just didn't retain it because it basically moved the fields up because they're not in the correct order. So that was the reason I made this in the beginning. And it's giving it in, basically it's not accurate, the data from the tape API, but the data from the JSON bin is showing the correct values. One thing that I want to note here, this is not exactly to say that the tape API has a flaw in the API design, not at all, because this approach of using the JSON bin is helpful if you have to retain the order of the data. If you don't have to retain the order of the data, I will use the tape API directly. If you have a few fields, just use the tape API directly for specific apps. For example, some of the apps that I have for clients, I just use the tape API directly because it's easier, it's faster than having to create an external system for that. So any questions so far? Perfect. Okay, I see. Okay, so now let me go to another thing that you can do is instead of using a single record, you can actually create a custom record by using this called the retrieve records from a map. And this one, in the previous example, what I was doing is I was retrieving just one record. But what I will do now, I will create a custom JSON file containing this one. It will be 20 records. So that's what I'm gonna do. So let me go here. These are the 20 records. And this is just some dummy data. All I got here is some name, a multi-line text field, and an email field. So, and let me, once I have this, I'm gonna go to the automations. And this automation is a little bit different than the other one, because this automation triggers when the record is updated. However, in comparison to the single record automation, what this one does not create the JSON bin file. It just updates it. As you can see here, it's just use the put a call. So, and the reason for this specific way is that this automation collects data from all the records, and we only have one file to update rather than multiple files or records. That's what it does. And for this reason, what we need to do is first create a bin in the JSON bin manually. Then we're gonna obtain the bin ID. We're gonna put it over here and then add it to the automation. So let me show you how that's done. So if we're gonna go to the bins, I'm gonna go here and create a new bin. And what I'm gonna do, let's call it, let's put a name, multi-record, and I'm gonna put it in the collection tape testing for testing. And then I'm gonna add a dummy JSON file, and I'm gonna click save. Once I have that one, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna copy this bin ID, and then I'm going to go back to the tape automation, and I'm just gonna replace this placeholder with the bin ID, and I click save. Okay, so now with the bin updated, I can send the custom JSON payload to the JSON bin. And for this specific automation, what I'm doing, as you can see here, I'm searching for all the records in the app, and then I'm gonna extract the necessary data using this custom script here. And what this script does is basically it checks if the field ID exists in the payload on the collected records, and then it's gonna return the appropriate values. Just to clarify how to get the data, let me show you something, how the response works. So if I'm gonna open this one, just to show you how it works, let me just close this one. So we're gonna do, let me just make a request to the API call. This API call is basically this one here, the retrieve records API for an app. And I'm basically retrieving the records for this one here by doing the app ID, this one. That's what it's basically doing right now. So going back, I'm gonna send the request, and this is what it returns. So this is what the API returns. And as you can see, the tape API returning a response with, let's see how many do we have. Let me close this, and let me open this on the side. So I'm getting 20 records from the API. And there's a lot of data here that tape is giving us to work with. over here, and it's a big data. But all I need to know from this one is the fields ID for the specific record. So if I go here to the first record, I go to fields, 0 will be the first one, will be the first, which will be the name, and this is the field ID that I need to use. And if I go back to the automation and I go here, you see that this one, 6000114, is the field ID for the name. So I just put it here, and the automation will take that value from that field and put it in the JSON file. So one thing about this is that this code is a work in progress because it does not cover all the different tape fields. For the tape API response, basically returns different formats, like the day, like the single select. It works a little different than the text fields. And I did not add it in this code, in this custom codes. But for this scenario, it's just a text and email field. So what it does is basically gets the field ID and selects the value of that find. And then it will map it in the records in an array. So now that we have everything ready, let me do an update to see what happens. Let's update the JSON field file by running it manually. So let me go over here to the manual runs, and I'm gonna select any record, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna start a run, and let's see, I got a success, perfect. And if I go back to the JSON bin that I created, and let me close it again, and then I have it over here, as you can see here. And as you can see, the JSON has been updated and is ready to be used. So let me do something. I'm gonna copy this record here, and I'm gonna open it with the Visual Studio Code. Let me close this one, and let me open a new tab. And I'm gonna paste it here. Let me put it on the side. And as you can see here, this one, the one that I was generated by the custom JSON file that I created, is considerably smaller than the one that tape gives me. The one with tapes has around, let's see, around 3,000 lines, 3,400 lines, while this one has only 100. So it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit more organized for the specific scenario that I needed. So once you have this one, the records, the custom JSON file, the way to integrate it, which will be the final step, is integrating into an external platform. For this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use Web Studio because, Web Studio. So let me go back here, and to integrate the JSON file, let me do something and hide this. So this one, what it does is these are the records that are coming from the tape API. It's already set up, but I'm missing the ones from JSONbin. So in order to do that, I need to use this API call from JSONbin, which is basically reading the bin from the API. And it's this one. It's extremely simple. So now let's go to Web Studio to connect this one. So let me go here. In the case of Web Studio, I go to the body, the settings, and I'm gonna just use this JSON resource here, JSONbin resource. And all I need to do, let's see, you can see here, I need to replace the bin ID. If I go back to the documentation, it's asking me to put the bin ID in the call. So let's do that. I'm gonna go to JSONbin, and I'm gonna get that bin ID, which will be this one over here. I'm gonna copy it, go back to Web Studio, and add it over here. There we go. Perfect. And I'm gonna take back, I'm gonna refresh it, and you can see I already put everything together. So when I do that, it's gonna put all the values from the JSONbin file directly into the landing page. As you can see, they match together really nice. It's already set up. So one of the things about this one, that in this specific case, here's the difference of how you get the data from the tape API versus the custom-made JSON file that I created with JSONbin. So let's see, how do I get the title from tape? If I go over here, the way it works is I need to select the collection, and then you see the list of all the things. I need to go to fields. Then it's going to be 3 fields because I'm getting the 3 fields, the name, the text, and the email. So I'm going to select the first one, and then I'm going to go values dot 0, which is the first record, and then value. And then that will give me the name. That's how it works with the tape API. But with the JSON bin that I created, all I need to do is go over here to the collection that I created, and I have them all here named in the specific format that I created. So I have the name, the email, and the text. So if I want to change the name, I just select the name. So as you can see, the JSON bin approach is a little bit easier to manage in comparison to the tape API. And one critical part about this is that it's when you delete individual fields when you delete something from the records. So let me do that. I'm gonna go back to the record, and let me do this one. Let me delete something from this one. This is the first record from the fields. So I got 20, and deleting the first one that I created, I remove the multi-line text field. So if I go back to the landing page that I created and I refresh this one, and as you can see, what they did for the first record is that it moved the value from the text and move it up. But in reality, there are 2 fields. One of them is supposed to be email, and the other one is supposed to be a text, but they basically move it up in the display. While the JSON bin file is just show it as a null. So in this scenario, it's not really that noticeable because we only have 3 fields, the name, the text, and the email. But when you have many fields, like the proposal app that I have, which had like 50 plus, it became a problem. And another issue with this is that if you create new fields and you reorder them, and in tape, it can cause issues on a scale in the specific scenario. So let's say that you on tape, you're gonna create 2 new fields. So let me first put something here so we can have the same data. And then let's create 2 new fields. I'm gonna go to the customize fields, and I'm gonna create 2 new single selects. So let's create one. I'm gonna put a single select 1, option 1, option 2. I'm gonna create another one, single select 2, option 3, and option 4, just for references. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reorder them. I'm gonna put this one, let's say I want you or one of your teammates move it up here, and then move this one in between. So what's gonna happen is this name, single select, multiple line, single select 2, and email. So I reorder the way the fields are on tape. So, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna update a few with this, which is awesome. I'm gonna update this one, and maybe this one, possibly this one. So for single select, I'm gonna select option 1 for this one and option 4 for this one. So I bulk updated all of them at the same time. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go back to the landing page, and if I refresh this over here, what's gonna happen? See what happens. So in this case, the fields that I added as new in the tape field basically damaged the way the landing page was set up. So this is the tape API. So this one is supposed to be the text field. So what it did is actually putting the field in the order, which is going to put in the single select value that is adding in the landing page. But on the other hand, the JSON bin file that I created maintained the order that I needed, because the JSON file, the custom JSON file is what I added, and I didn't add the new fields into that file. So one thing is, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you or your team are continually adding new fields or are reordering them, it can become a little bit time consuming to maintain it in an external app like this one, like a landing page. But overall, this provides an alternative for working with the tape API in a more organized and flexible way. And it gives you the option to use the powerful tape automation to create the the JSON file however you like, either from multiple records or from single records, depending on the approach that you're looking for. For single record, it's a lot easier than for multiple records, but it gives you that flexibility. And to close up, I wanted to mention something that Jason told me. So Jason uses an approach similar to this one, but he uses Cloudflare Worker with a D1 database. So this JSONbin approach I demonstrate today is easy to use and it's easy to manage. However, the Cloudflare Worker with a D1 database could be a little bit more secure and expandable and possibly cheaper, but it really depends on the use case. And another the partner also he used SQL for doing this, but in general, this it depends on your scenario. But it's good that you have this option to be able to use the tape API, but you're still using the tape API to process the data. So, any questions so far? Okay, perfect. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the Q&A session because that was all about the demonstration. Oh, that was faster than I expected. So that was the demonstration. So any question? And I'm gonna start with the questions to the tape team. Is there a possibility to add a signature field to the tape forms? Like someone can sign the forms?
You mean a dedicated sign field?
Yep.
Signature field. At the moment, we just want to start with a couple of fields and then roll out all available tape fields. And later, we are waiting for requests, and when there are enough requests for a signature field, we're taking that on the roadmap.
Oh,
but
nice.
At the moment, for the start, we don't plan a signature field.
Got it. No problem. So I got a question here from RJ. In this field skipping also affecting received webhooks? I don't think so, because it's taking data from the tape API, not really the webhook is something that you receive from outside. Is that correct? You must something webhook fields. There you go. I mean, we have some incoming webhook fields based on the dummy payload, but then the real one has one field less, not field. It depends, because if you're doing the JSON file on yourself, you have the option to, for example, in the scenario that I created here, when a record is empty, what I'm basically telling it is put the default value as null. So you can have a little bit more flexibility when the values are empty. So it depends. It gives you a lot more flexibility on that one. Yep. Okay. Of course, no problem. Any other question for the tape team or for the demonstration that I made? Excellent. So nothing so far. So this was a short one. I went a little bit faster than I expected, but it's a possibility that to use this for different scenarios. And as always, tapes gives you so much flexibility to do whatever you want. And thanks. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Excellent. So we're good to go. So we're gonna stop it here. It's a little 20 minutes, what it normally is, but it's good to go. If there's any more question, we're gonna wrap it up here, and we'll see each other in the next webinar, and we can do any more advanced stuff or something that you want to recommend. Okay.
Thank you, Luis.
Okay. So guys, take care. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice to see you. Thank you.